So in this video, we're going to talk about the elite and what it means to be elite, and how elites, right, the higher people in reality, they're the ones in control or in charge, or at very least the people in control of the elites. If you can control an elite some way, then that makes you in charge of the group. And so what it means to be elite is to have a powerful and forceful control over your body water or over your awareness. And so people's level of ability of doing this, right? People's control that they have over their consciousness, the control that they have over their water, varies quite a bit. Both in age and maturity level and in adult skill, right? So imagine something like running, and look at the running ability of a toddler versus the running ability of an adult. And then also look at the running ability of a trained track athlete versus the running ability of Joe Schmo video gamer, right? There's a massive discrepancy range. Look at the level of skateboarding ability of the average person versus the level of a pro. Look at the level of a professional juggler, right? Massive disparity. Look at the difference in movement ability between a parkour athlete and the average person, right? These are examples of different levels of control of the body water. Right, and there's lots of different types of control, and it's also based off of sensitivity. So if like a certain type of control is acting, right? You have to be able to control a lot of the water in your brain, your mind, your body language. You have to be able to control all these subtle nuances in the body directly, control them directly so that they're not happening naturally. And when you are able to do that, then you create a convincing character, right? Like, you can't be in character and have one part of your body acting like it should be acting based off of who you are. You want every part of the body to be acting the way that it should be acting if it was that character. So you can't be letting anything in you be natural. You have to control everything because you're in an imaginary or made up situation. So when people get really good at that, they become an elite actor. And so all of the water of the body, the entirety of the metabolism, like everything about the body that's in water, that's in the metabolism, you can exert your will over it. People explore this culturally, like you can explore how you do this musically with your finger dexterity if you're playing instruments, obviously walking, throwing balls, biking, sewing, like crafts like that people get into, and that requires, like, your body wants to be doing this one thing, and you use your elitism or your mind-body control to get the body to do something other than what it would be doing, to get the metabolism and to get the water behaving and responding in a way that it normally wouldn't be doing. So you kind of have to amplify some waves in the water and suppress other waves in the water and do all this complex stuff. But that elitism, there is no limit to it. You can take control over the water in your brain, in your kidneys, in your heart, right? You can feel and start to move all that stuff, and your initial dexterity might be like trying to juggle, and you can't hardly do it at all, and then you can do it, you can barely do it, right? But if somebody practices it for 10 years, they're juggling 8 chainsaws, right? So as you try and open up the sensitivity of the heart, or like move from the heart, or explore the inner body or the kidneys or the mind or the brain, or do any of these elite activities of getting high levels of dexterity and control and pressure exertion, there's cultures based around this, right? And so anything in the body that is wet is changeable. So there's lineages of people who know how to change everything. Like, you can change how your DNA is behaving. You can change how your fascia is moving. You can change all the different tension patterns in your body, so you can actually change your weight. You can change your facial structure. You can change all sorts of things. People that aren't good at this, when they want to change these things, it takes a lot of time and effort, and it takes a long time because they're not very good at it. If you have developed the ability to do this stuff directly, then you can do, with a couple of nights focus, you could change your body morphology to the same degree that might take somebody 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 years. Which is where you get stories of shape-shifting and all these other yogic powers. If you look at any of these yogic powers, all the person is doing is learning to be sensitive to and respond and sort of either contract or push or pressurize, or however you want to visualize it, different parts of the body water. And so different parts of the body water are shaped and fluidically connected to different sort of antenna arrays. The organs are different sort of antenna arrays. And all the organs kind of link together. All the DNA links together in these antenna arrays. So we're all influencing each other. Everyone with the same DNA is on the same frequency. Everybody with the same heartbeat is on the same frequency. Everybody with the same beliefs is on the same frequency. And so when the water of anybody in that grid or anybody in that network, if somebody's an elite and they exert their will, that you can apply extremely strong psychic pressure to everyone on that frequency. Everybody with that organ system, everybody with that physiological pattern, everyone with that genetic pattern. That acts as an antenna, right? So then it's like anybody on the radio, like if somebody gets access to the radio and then they're a powerful speaker and they can speak persuasively, then that powerful speech, that elite speech, goes into the radio and is distributed to the whole network and can cause massive systemic changes. So every organ system works like this. Every belief system, every structure, every habit of behavior, everything works like this. And so the world is run by elites. Just like the world is run by adults. Why do adults run the show and toddlers don't? Because the toddlers are incapable and they're stupid in comparison to the elite form of the adult, right? And so it's the same thing between people with different skill levels, right? So people that are elites psychically, psychically, socially, in terms of like being able to see the actual, this antenna array structure and how everything's connected, there's people that are elites in navigating that or operating. Just like there's people who are elite warriors, there's elite fighters, there's elite surfers, right? And so like an elite surfer goes out into the ocean and there's a totally different set of possibilities than somebody who goes into the ocean who can't swim, or somebody who goes into the ocean who can't surf, right? Same exact environment, but an elite operator is capable of doing different things, right? So that there's people who are elites, which just means that they're highly skilled in these crafts. And then not only are they highly skilled, but they also have to have a culture that reliably imparts that high skill to their progeny or to their offspring. So elites always have initiatory culture where the people are given these abilities. You're initiated into having these abilities. Like nobody will ever swim like me unless they were exposed to the water like me at a young age. Otherwise, I don't think it's possible. Right, so people are exposed to certain things at young ages in these cultures to give them these powers. And when you have these powers, these cultures and these groups, historically, traditionally, the members are like performers, actors, because that's what it looks like they're doing from the standpoint of a natural human. There's elites who are like changing and modifying and controlling everything and basically engaging in sorcery, which is their mind-body connection. That's what happened. That's how the Cirque du Soleil happens. That's how the Olympics happen. But it's also how even higher levels of that happen, how higher levels of yoga if you study psychology, if you study speech, if you study will to the same degree that somebody studies javelin or swimming or skateboarding or something like that, of course you're going to get abilities that are nearly unfathomable to somebody who has not trained. Right? So it's like really stupid to think that there's people who have not studied politics generationally or human society generationally to a degree that would make an uninitiated or an untrained person would not be able to comprehend how or why or what they're doing. Like if I go on the football field, I cannot comprehend or have I will not alter the course of the game in any way whatsoever other than to be as a liability to whatever team I'm on because I'm untrained. So that's what's happening at every level. At every level of all these things, the elites are in charge. If the thing's not topsy-turvy, right? If the elite kung fu guy is in charge of the school, the elite philosopher is in charge of the school, right? The elite king, the poet, is in charge of the state. The elite musician is in charge of the orchestra, right? The elite shaman is in charge of so all these things are these activities that we can do with our consciousness that take us from being normal and natural to elite. And a human can become elite at anything. Because you can start to like tense and pressurize and alter and feel anything in the body that's wet. That's the DNA, that's the RNA, that's the cell membrane, that's the muscular tension, that's the heartbeat, that's the lymph, that's the brain circulation, that's the kidney circulation. All of that is something you can interact with at the mind-body level, and every single one of them has a path where 10 years of work and you seek out the right initiations and stuff, and it's a totally different lost my wallet. It's a totally different game. And so the elite in charge of the world, the elite are all actors in terms of they're capable of acting. So they can become anybody they need to become. They can say anything they need to say. They can do anything they need to do. They have no limits. They have no limitation. They have a culture that's based on removing all limitations. So they have all these like taboo rituals and initiations and hazing and all this other stuff, and you'll see this fractal structure at the level of sports teams and stuff. Like when you're on a sports team, when you go to college, there's hazing, there's humiliation rituals, there's things, and these things like they remove your limitations or whatever. They bond you to the group, right? So that's happening in high school and college. That same thing happens at larger and larger and larger scales for all cultures. Hollywood, politics, wherever. That's always happening. And the people saying that's not happening, or like those people are actors, liars. And so you have to look at the world as if elites are running the show, because they are, right? And elites aren't stupid, right? There's an art to this. There's an art to like controlling and manipulating people without blowback. How do you control and manipulate people without them wanting to rise up and kill you, right? So you use useful idiots, distraction, diversion. Like there's a whole art and a whole science of manipulating and managing the field, just like there's a whole art and science of controlling the opposing football team. There's a whole art and science in elitism to controlling populations, where every contingency and things that populations do has been studied and mapped and accounted for. Just like every strategy that an opposing football team is going to play, kind of, you already, like, they only can do so many things. There's only so many chess things. And so like people go schizophrenic, and they go when they suddenly realize that, like, oh, elites are actually in control of the world, and everybody's childhood impulse is to become an elite, to like master that mind-body connection so that you have, you know, this control over the world that elites have. And that path is like fraught with power and peril, and is ultimately like the horizontal path. There's, you know, there's nothing but ashes and dust in this world within which you could become an elite, etc., etc. And, you know, so there's different takes on like how hard should you participate in this thing that's happening or not. What should your stance be towards elites and becoming an elite yourself, and how do you go about doing that? Like, that's a discussion. But what's not up for discussion is that this is how the world works. It's not schizophrenic. It's not to believe in higher levels of human skill that are difficult to conceptualize or fathom from an uninitiated vantage point. To suggest that exists as a central component of culture and reality is not schizophrenic. It's not crazy. Like, it's what the normie perspective is just people who are not elite projecting that everyone else is at their level, instead of you clear your thing and go, oh, there's levels. Oh my God, there's levels. Right? You could have like a 3-year-old who doesn't understand that adults are smarter than him. Right? So you can have adults that are like that, where they look at the elites, or they think power structures and stuff are run by idiots. As if an elite mind isn't going to take control of the idiots. Like, it's absurd.